The clinking of a fork against a champagne glass silenced the retirement party chatter. All eyes turned to my brother Ethan, standing proudly beside our father. He beamed, placing a condescending hand on Dad's shoulder. "To our father's legacy," he announced. Then his gaze flicked to me, sitting quietly at a corner table. A cruel smirk played on his lips. "And to my sister Lauren, still out there delivering packages like Santa's broke cousin, a true blue-collar hero." A wave of uncomfortable laughter rippled through the room. My face burned. I looked at my father, hoping for a defense, but he just stared at his plate, ashamed. I was fighting back hot tears of humiliation when the main doors to the banquet hall swung open. A tall, distinguished man in an impeccable suit stepped inside. His eyes scanned the room and landed directly on me. He gave a slight, formal nod. My breath hitched. Then he started walking straight toward our table. The room seemed to hold its breath as the stranger approached. He completely ignored Ethan, who was still holding his glass mid-toast. Instead, he stopped directly beside my chair. "Miss Lauren Reynolds?" he asked, his voice calm and authoritative. I could only nod, utterly bewildered. "My name is Alexander Walters. I am the CEO of Apex Logistics Global." A collective gasp went through the crowd. Apex was the massive conglomerate that owned our local delivery company. He discreetly slipped a pristine white business card into my hand. "I've heard remarkable things about your innovative work. I would appreciate a moment of your time next week." From the corner of my eye, I saw Ethan smirk, clearly thinking this powerful man was merely hitting on me. Mr. Walters leaned in slightly, his voice dropping to a whisper meant only for me. "I believe I have a business proposal that could significantly change your current circumstances." The car ride home was icy. My mother's silence was louder than any shouting. Finally, she spoke. "You embarrassed your brother in front of everyone, Lauren. He's a vice president. What are you? A delivery driver." Each word was a tiny dagger. I dropped her off without a word, then drove to my own small apartment, the tears finally falling. Later that night, there was a soft knock. It was my father. He didn't say anything, just pulled me into a tight hug. "You've always worked harder than both of us combined," he whispered, his voice thick with emotion. After he left, I slumped onto my couch, exhausted. I opened my handbag to get my keys, and Mr. Walters' card fell out. Tucked behind it was a small folded note I hadn't seen before. My hands trembled as I opened it. The handwriting was neat and precise. It read, "We've been watching your work for months. Your potential is immense." I spent a week rehearsing what to say before I finally called the number. Mr. Walters' assistant answered immediately and scheduled a meeting for the next day. Sitting in his stunning corner office, high above the city, I felt like an imposter. But Mr. Walters was direct and respectful. "Lauren, the efficiency reports from your local depot have been on my radar. You implemented a new routing system in your spare time, didn't you?" "Without approval." I nodded, nervous. "It reduced fuel costs by 18% and delivery times by 22%, I said softly. He smiled. "I know. I want you to help me revamp our national operations. I'm offering you a senior consultant position on my special projects team." My heart soared. Then he delivered the final, poetic detail. "You'll be working directly with several regional executives to audit and improve their systems." He paused, letting the weight of his next words sink in. "Including, of course, your brother Ethan." I stared at the formal contract on my kitchen table. The salary was more than I'd earned in 3 years. The title, Senior Logistics Consultant, felt both foreign and empowering. But doubt crept in. Was I doing this for the right reasons? I didn't want revenge. I just wanted the respect I had earned through years of hard, overlooked work. I called my best friend, Megan. "He's offering you this job because you're brilliant, Lauren, not because of your brother," she insisted. "Remember that optimization model you built on your laptop? The one Ethan took credit for to get his promotion? You are the one who actually built the system he brags about. It's time you got the credit." Her words solidified my resolve. This wasn't about family drama. It was about claiming what was rightfully mine. I picked up the pen, my hand steady. I signed my name on the dotted line. Then I sent a brief email to Mr. Walters. "I accept. Let's begin." Weeks later, I walked into the polished marble lobby of my brother's regional headquarters. I wore a new, professional blazer and carried a leather portfolio. My security pass, identifying me as a corporate consultant, swung from my lanyard. I entered the main conference room where Ethan was leading a meeting. He was in the middle of a sentence, pointing at a graph on a screen. And as you can see, our regional efficiency is leading the nation. He saw me. His voice cut off. His face went pale, then flushed red. "Lauren? What are you doing here?" I gave him a calm, professional smile. "Good morning, Ethan. Corporate asked me to assess your quarterly efficiency reports." The room was dead silent. One of Ethan's young assistants, looking confused, blurted out, "Wait, you mean the reports she designed the template for last year?" Ethan shot him a death glare. After the awkward meeting ended, Ethan cornered me in the hallway. "What is this, Lauren? Some kind of joke?" he hissed, his voice low and venomous. He was wearing his corporate mask, a fake smile for anyone passing by, but his eyes were furious. "Don't get cocky just because you got a lucky break. You have no idea how things work at this level. You'll just embarrass yourself and this family." I kept my expression neutral, my voice even. "I'm not here for family, Ethan. I'm just here to do my job." I turned and walked back to the temporary office they'd assigned me. As I began cross-referencing his team's data with the corporate database, something immediately caught my eye. The numbers in his public reports didn't match the internal shipping logs. There were inconsistencies everywhere. Small discrepancies that, if added up, pointed to something much larger. I spent the next 2 days digging deeper, my stomach churning with every new discovery. Ethan hadn't just been fudging minor numbers. He had been systematically inflating regional shipping volumes and on-time delivery percentages. The fake numbers qualified his region for massive performance bonuses, which he then distributed among his loyal managers, keeping the largest share for himself. It was fraud, plain and simple. With a few clicks, I copied the damning files onto a secure drive. My finger hovered over the button to send it all to Mr. Walters in corporate compliance. But then I froze. A terrible thought struck me. My father's pension and retirement package were being processed through this branch's human resources department, which Ethan controlled. If I reported him now, everything could be frozen during the investigation. My father could lose his financial security because of me. I went to my father's house that evening, needing to see his face. I found him in his garden, looking older and more tired than he had at his party. We sat in silence for a while before he spoke. "Ethan came by yesterday. He was angry." He sighed deeply. "He asked me to sign some papers before I retired. Said it was just creative accounting to make our region look good for the investors. I didn't really understand it, but he's my son." I signed. My blood ran cold. Ethan hadn't just risked his own career. He had implicated our father to make his scheme look more legitimate. He had used our father's trust and good name as a shield. I looked at my dad, at the guilt and confusion in his eyes, and realized the terrible truth. If I took Ethan down, he was going to try and drag our father down with him. I knew I had to be smarter. Reporting Ethan directly was too dangerous for Dad. So, I changed my strategy. I played along. I went to Ethan and, feigning concern, told him I'd noticed some minor data issues that corporate might question. I offered to help him optimize his reports before the official audit. He was suspicious at first, but his arrogance won out. He saw it as me finally knowing my place, cleaning up his mess. He even promoted me to lead logistics advisor on his team, thinking he was using me. Meanwhile, in secret, I was building something new, a transparent, automated reporting system. This prototype, built on my original algorithms, would instantly flag any falsified data and trace it directly back to the person who entered it. I was building the very trap that would catch him. Ethan, now confident he had me under his thumb, invited me to a dinner with important regional investors. It was a power play, a chance to show me off as his subordinate. During dessert, one of the investors asked me about my background. Before I could answer, Ethan laughed, patting my arm. "My sister here has been in the trenches. I guess delivering boxes for a living teaches you patience, if nothing else." The table chuckled politely. I took a slow sip of water, then placed my glass down. I looked directly at the investor. Actually, the hands-on experience was crucial. It allowed me to develop and patent the dynamic routing algorithm that this entire region currently uses for its logistics. The laughter died instantly. Ethan's smile vanished. The investor leaned forward, intensely interested. You hold the patent? He asked. The following Monday, an official memo from corporate headquarters was sent to every department. It announced a surprise, comprehensive audit of the entire eastern region, effective immediately. The memo specifically stated the audit would be using a new proprietary system designed to ensure complete data transparency. It was my system. My phone rang within seconds. It was Ethan. What did you do? He snarled, his voice barely controlled. I could hear the panic simmering beneath his anger. I pictured him in his big office, watching his carefully constructed house of cards begin to tremble. I kept my voice soft and calm, throwing his own words from the retirement party back at him. I'm just doing my job, Ethan. Just like Santa's broke cousin. The backlash was swift. My mother stormed into my apartment, her face a mask of fury. How could you, Lauren? You're trying to ruin your brother's career. He said you're sabotaging him out of jealousy. For years I had swallowed my words. Not this time. He's not the victim, Mom. I shot back, my voice shaking with pent-up emotion. He committed fraud. And worse, he pressured Dad to sign papers he didn't understand. He didn't just risk his own job. He ruined Dad's integrity on his way out. I'm not ruining anything. I'm fixing the mess he made. We were so focused on our argument, we didn't hear the front door open. My father was standing in the doorway, having heard every word. My mother turned to him, expecting him to side with her. Instead, he looked at me, his eyes filled with a sad pride. You're doing the right thing, Lauren, he said quietly. As the audit progressed, Ethan grew desperate. He called in favors. He pressured his department heads to correct their old data, to blame outdated software, to claim they'd misunderstood the reporting guidelines. But he didn't understand how my system worked. Every single change he tried to make was time-stamped, logged, and automatically flagged. The system created an undeniable digital paper trail. It compared every new entry against the original, creating a map of deception. I watched from my corporate dashboard as the evidence mounted, and with every manipulated file, every altered number, the system highlighted the person ultimately responsible for the changes. Ethan's name began appearing in bright red on report after report. The proof of his guilt was now undeniable, and he had typed his own signature on every line of it. A wave of nervous energy swept through the regional office. Mr. Alexander Walters was making an unannounced visit. He arrived with a small entourage of board members, their presence silencing the usual office buzz. Ethan rushed to the lobby, putting on his best welcoming face, but Mr. Walters walked right past his outstretched hand. He headed straight for my desk. Lauren, he said, his voice warm and carrying easily in the quiet room. A pleasure to see you in action. Everyone, this is our most valuable consultant. He shook my hand firmly in front of the entire stunned staff. Ethan stood frozen. A fake, strained smile plastered on his face, but I could see his hands trembling slightly. Mr. Walters then turned to address the room. Effective immediately, he announced. All branch leaders under the current corporate audit will report directly to Ms. Reynolds for the duration. The boardroom was tense. Ethan, his lawyers, Mr. Walters, the board, and I were gathered around the large table. Ethan had decided to go on the offensive. With all due respect, he began, his voice slick, I believe my sister's inexperience is causing a misinterpretation of the data. Her new system is flawed, and her personal feelings toward me are leading to a misguided attempt at sabotage. Mr. Walters listened patiently, then steepled his fingers. Your sister's flawed system, he said calmly, has already identified over $2 million in wasteful spending and has projected annual savings of $2.4 million. He slid a single sheet of paper across the table toward Ethan. Your misinterpreted data, however, shows a deliberate falsification of reports that has cost this company $700,000 in fraudulent bonus payouts. The evidence is irrefutable. The room was deathly quiet. Mr. Walters delivered the final blow. You are hereby suspended, pending a full disciplinary hearing. The fallout at home was a cold war. My mother refused to speak to me, moving around the kitchen when I visited Dad as if I were a ghost. The silence in the house was heavier than any argument. One afternoon, my father found me sitting on the back porch. He didn't say a word. He just sat beside me and took off his old silver wristwatch. He pressed it into my hand. This was your grandfather's, he said. He worked with his hands his whole life, and he was the proudest man I ever knew. It's yours now. I closed my fingers around the cool metal, feeling the weight of its history. It was a silent transfer of legacy. Later that night as I was leaving, I found Ethan waiting by my car. His face was twisted with a rage I had never seen before. "You think you've won?" he spat. "You'll regret this, Lauren. I promise you." The next morning, an email arrived from an anonymous address. It contained screenshots of old, internal emails I had sent to my brother years ago, venting about difficult coworkers. The message with them read, "How do you think HR will like your unprofessional attitude? Retract your audit findings or I release these." It was a blatant threat. My heart hammered, but I forced myself to breathe. I didn't respond to the anonymous address. Instead, I forwarded the entire threatening email directly to Mr. Walters and the head of corporate HR, with a brief, professional note for your records. I believe this constitutes harassment. I was done playing defense. An hour later, my phone rang. It was Mr. Walters. "Lauren, we've handled the threat. Now, let's talk about the future. The regional director position for the Eastern region will be vacant. Would you like it?" The offer was for Ethan's job, his title, his office, his team. Accepting it meant formally, publicly replacing him. It felt like a final, irreversible step that would shatter our family beyond repair. I wrestled with the decision for a day, pacing my apartment. Am I becoming the villain he says I am? I asked Megan over the phone. Her response was immediate and firm. "No, Lauren. You are becoming the leader you were always meant to be. You can't save someone who keeps trying to drown you. He made his choices. Now you get to make yours." She was right. This wasn't about him anymore. It was about me stepping into the role I had earned. I opened the digital offer letter. Taking a deep, steadying breath, I typed my name at the bottom and clicked submit. My parents insisted on a small family dinner to talk things through. It was a disaster from the start. The air was thick with unspoken accusations. Finally, Ethan slammed his fork down. "I can't believe you. You actually stole my career, my life." I looked at him, not with anger, but with a profound sadness. "I didn't steal anything, Ethan. You threw it away the moment you decided to cheat. You mocked the very job, the very work that gave you the foundation for your career. You looked down on the package deliverer who built the system you took credit for." The truth of my words hung in the air, suffocating his false narrative. As he stared, speechless, my phone buzzed. It was Mr. Walters. "Lauren," his voice was serious. "The audit findings are going public in the company-wide newsletter next week. I thought you should prepare yourself." The internal company newsletter landed in every employee's inbox on Monday morning. The headline was impossible to miss. Regional VP suspended amidst major data falsification probe. There, right below the headline, was Ethan's professional headshot. The article detailed the discovery of systematic reporting inaccuracies and mentioned an ongoing investigation that involved law enforcement. The office hummed with shocked whispers. I received a few cautious, congratulatory messages from colleagues, but the atmosphere was predominantly one of stunned silence. That same afternoon, Ethan received a certified summons to appear at corporate headquarters for his termination hearing. The date was set. It was the exact same day as my father's official, company-sponsored retirement banquet. The retirement banquet was a much larger, more formal event than the first party. My father was dressed in his best suit, but he looked anxious. Ethan was there, too, putting on a brave face, trying to act as if nothing was wrong. He clinked his glass for a toast. His eyes found me in the crowd, and the old familiar smirk returned. "And of course, my sister Lauren is here. Good to see you're still showing up, sis. I hope the delivery truck is double parked outside." A few of his remaining supporters chuckled weakly. This time, however, I didn't look away or blush. I simply smiled back, a calm, knowing smile. It seemed to unnerve him. At that precise moment, the grand doors of the ballroom swung open with a commanding presence. Mr. Alexander Walters walked in, followed by the entire board of directors. The room fell completely silent. Mr. Walters didn't hesitate. He walked with purpose through the parted crowd, straight past my speechless brother, and stopped directly in front of me. He shook my hand firmly, then turned to address the room of 200 people. "Good evening. I'm Alexander Walters, CEO of Apex Logistics. We're here to honor a retiree, but also to celebrate a promotion. He gestured to me. Everyone, please meet your new regional director for the Eastern Division, Lauren Reynolds. A wave of gasps and then sudden enthusiastic applause erupted from the crowd. I saw the realization dawn on 100 faces at once. Ethan stood frozen a few feet away, his glass of champagne held awkwardly in midair, his face a mask of utter shock and horror. His lips moved, but only one silent word came out. What? Mr. Walters wasn't finished. He turned his gaze to Ethan, and his voice became cold and formal. And as for Mr. Ethan Reynolds, your disciplinary hearing concluded this afternoon. The board has voted unanimously. Your services are no longer required by this company. Security will escort you to collect your personal effects. My mother, sitting at the head table, started to stand, to protest, but I didn't look at her. I looked at my father. His eyes were glistening with tears, but he was smiling. He gave me a small, proud nod. I walked over to him, took his hand, and said softly, for only him to hear, "This is for you, Dad, to clear your name." The guests, understanding the true story now, rose to their feet, giving my father and me a standing ovation. Later, after the last guest had left and the waitstaff were cleaning up, my father pulled me into a tight, long hug. "You didn't just save my name, Lauren," he whispered, his voice thick with emotion. "You built your own, and it's a better, stronger one." I smiled, finally feeling a sense of peaceful closure. I picked up a forgotten glass of champagne from a table and raised it. "To the ones who underestimated us," I said. He clinked his water glass against mine. As we walked out of the hall, I saw Ethan being led out by security, his head bowed. Mr. Walters patted my shoulder. "You'll do great things leading his old team, Lauren." I looked toward the future, no longer defined by my brother's mockery or my mother's disapproval. I still held the glass. I raised it one more time, a private, final toast to my new beginning. "I already have," I said.